Hi everyone, welcome back to boardbaobab. I hope you have all had a wonderful week. It is currently the weekend at the time that I'm recording this. Very hot day today. I hope the weather's doing fine wherever you are in the world. Sorry that I haven't been posting many videos lately. I've been sick for a while and it's been difficult for me to get anything out. I'm trying to start a new series today. I want to do some hobby nightmares. So I'm a big fan of hobby nightmares that I've seen being posted around, particularly of D&D. I'd like to do some nightmares on board games. So if anyone has any nightmares, please send email to me at boardbaobab. boardbaobab@gmail.com. Would really appreciate it. I have for you guys a D&D story today because when I tried looking for some board game stories, I couldn't find really any. No good ones. So I have a D&D story for you. Today's D&D story comes from Reddit. So let's jump straight into it, shall we? This story comes from Reddit user mystery_fox1618. This was the most bizarre experience I've ever had. It was meant to be a D&D 5e one-shot with homebrew elements run in person by someone I didn't know too well. I was invited by my friend who was another player, and they told me this DM had been really good in the past. I took their word for it and agreed to join the one-shot. The party consisted of me, Bard, my friend, Cleric, Barbarian, and Sorcerer, and of course, DM. The one-shot started standard with no red flags. The party met in a tavern as a group of strangers who all took the same jobs from an adventuring wanted poster. We met with the NPC who assigned the job and were sent on our way. Our party had to travel up this dangerous, spooky mountain to which appeared to be abandoned manor at the top. The DM explained that many rumors described this place as being super haunted and filled with monsters. It was around Halloween in real life, so the spooky theme seemed to fit. Halfway up the mountain, DM described an encounter with a werewolf. This werewolf was extremely powerful, to the point where a group of level 5 adventurers would stand no chance against it. It was rolling attacks that did upwards of 25 damage per turn. My word, sherbet. I think the least amount of damage that it did was 15. That was boardbaobab just now with the sherbet. Anyway, back to the story. Suffice it to say, my character did not live through the encounter, and neither did sorcerers. Cleric and Barbarian were able to flee the combat after the Barbarian rendered the werewolf prone for 2 turns. Just pausing here. What is going on with this DM? Straight out of the gate, you send a monster that is clearly too powerful for the party. So I don't know what the DM is thinking here. Like, why would you do this? Like, are you trying to stop them from going somewhere? And if it's supposed to scare the party, it should get to the point before someone's dying that you're scaring the party. Anyway, back to the story. The DM asked us to hand over our character sheets, then gave us pre-made characters. I was playing an extremely powerful vampire that had abilities and powers I have never heard of. I assumed these things to be the DM's homebrew. An example of one I had was called Touch of the Undead, which functionally similar to Burning Hands but with necrotic damage. And I rolled 5d12 for damage. Just a reminder, apparently these characters were supposed to be level 5. It was crazy overpowered, and I was confused about why it was like this. DM explained to me and Sorcerer that our new characters were not yet in contact with the party. Our characters were awaiting the party's arrival in the manor up ahead. I asked if we were meant to team up with the party, and the DM got noticeably irritated with this question, as if it was obvious that we were supposed to do. DM told me that Sorcerer and I would stop at nothing to see the party eradicated. Okay. Sorcerer mentioned that our characters seemed too strong for Cleric and Barbarian alone, and the DM told him that there was a reason for it. We carried on. Cleric and Barbarian finally managed to make it to the manor after barely avoiding and escaping 3 other overpowered monster encounters. They both had extremely low health, and Cleric was almost out of spells. They tried to find an alternate entrance to the manor, not wanting to use the front doors that was obviously a trap. But DM railroaded them into using the doors. As they entered the manor, they encountered Sorcerer and I. We rolled for initiative, and the battle was over in 1 round. The DM handed Cleric and Barbarian new character sheets that were also overpowered monsters. Oh, this guy. I'm already getting so irritated just hearing this. I don't know why. I might have, if I was one of these players, I might have got up and left at this point, if this was the game running. Suddenly, a paladin in shining golden armor burst through the front doors. I have come to stop your reign of terror, monsters. You will pay for the innocent lives you've taken, he yells as he points his sword at you threateningly. You all recognize him as a legendary elf paladin, Elwyn Clary, vanquisher of evil and slayer of monsters. The DM said this to us with all the seriousness. We exchanged looks with each other. I don't think any of us knew how to react. The DM gave us a look that was a mixture of irritation and confusion. Aren't you going to attack him? The Barbarian rolls to attack, landing a nat 20 plus 7 to hit. It misses, the DM said with a smug smile. We proceed to get our shit absolutely rocked by the DMPC. This paladin was hitting us with unreal amounts of damage, barely taking a single hit from us. I think we were able to hit him twice in total. I'm not sure what the paladin's AC was, but it was insanely high. My monster character had a total of 300-ish health, and I was downed in 2 turns. What is this paladin dealing like per turn? The levels of damage he was doing made 0 sense. After the paladin killed our entire party, the DM thanked us for coming to their game and asked how we all felt about it. Barbarian was dead honest and told the DM that it was ridiculous. It was hardly a game at all. DM and Barbarian got into a small argument about it, and all the players, myself included, left shortly after. I never attended a game run by this DM again. My friend Cleric, who had invited me, apologized for the way the game went and explained the DM had never done anything like this before. I doubt that. I think he's done this plenty of times before. They told me that DM had always run interesting and entertaining one-shots and short campaigns and never once inserted overpowered DM PCs. Cleric did say that DM had NPCs that were clearly based on DM's past campaign characters, but they had supposedly never been problematic and served more as shout-outs to past campaigns the DM took part in. Cleric participated in one other one-shot run by the DM after this, and told me that they had left early because DM was inserting overpowered enemies, and Cleric didn't want to stick around for the eventual DMPC boss fight. TLDR, DM turns party into monsters, DMPC easily kills entire party. Yeah, so just listening to that story, the cleric says that the DM hasn't done this before. So I'll take his word for it. I think the DM has done stuff like this before. He probably got bored of how his campaigns were going and wanted to make it more exciting for himself, and he probably had a DMPC do a bit more combat and got a real thrill out of it. Then he's probably run more one-shots and realized that he can have an audience for his DMPC and expects them to go, "Oh, isn't this wonderful? So fantastic." It's like those sort of people that are so into lore and their minds do mental gymnastics. And in their mind, they think everyone's going to love this. They think it's fantastic. They're like patting themselves on the back, having AI read out their story to them. Just, oh, I'm so great. Oh, I'm so amazing. Like, no one's going to see this coming. And they just can't look in front of a mirror and see that what they're writing is absolute garbage. Anyway, on to our next story. Our next story comes from Mist Running Ranger. I was young when the story happened, and new to tabletop. I went to my LGS, local game store, looking for more materials for D&D, with some of the money that I had saved up. I was distracted by this wall of minis. They were for Warhammer 40k. I'd never heard of it before, and was interested. I'd planned to read up on it and grab the box that was in my price range, and looked the most interesting. I settled on Necrons. I like that, very good choice. That's when a group of regulars saw me and called me over. They must have assumed I was already experienced in the game. Before I even introduced myself, they're catching me up on their game, and I'm struggling to even understand what's going on. It's practically a bombardment of names and factions I had no basic understanding of. When they finally finished their long explanation of the past few turns, they asked if I wanted to join into their next game, since they were almost done. I politely informed them I'd never played before, and the whole mood shifted, as if I'd committed some great sin by not already playing Warhammer. But I did tell them that I was interested in playing. The youngest looking guy there, still probably 25 to 28 at the youngest, popped up before the rest and enthusiastically told me I should play Space Marines without missing a beat, launched into a ramble about the Imperium lore. Oh, here we go. Another Imperium fanboy. Don't get me wrong, I do like the Imperium, but this need to force Space Marines on every person even think about playing Warhammer 40k. I would compare it to pulling up the Wikipedia article on the Imperium and hitting shuffle on every paragraph and playing it at 2x speed. The rest still watched me suspiciously, like I was an undercover cop, who just said, "I would like one marijuana, please." When he finally finished his speech about how amazing the humans were, I awkwardly said I thought the Necrons were cool, which did not make these guys happy. The idea that someone wasn't playing the Sisters of Battle or Space Marines was absurd to them. The oldest among them speaks up, leaning over his army of sisters. "Steve just explained why the Imperium is the best. Why do you want to play the Necrons? They're nowhere near as cool or interesting as the humans. The Horus Heresy alone outclasses anything written for the Necrons. You have read the Horus Heresy, right?" I had no idea what the hell that even was, and of course I told them no.
How can you expect to play the games without reading the books? It's like you have no respect for the true fans.
I kid you not, he referred to himself and his pals as true fans. I was starting to get a bit upset and honestly a little scared. These guys were a lot bigger than me. I was a short and skinny kid. The oldest guy easily had more than 100 pounds on me. What is 100 pounds? Sorry, we use kgs where I'm from. Well, 45 kilograms. Yo. These are big guys. They demanded to see the army I picked out, and I handed them a single infantry set I grabbed. They started tearing into me on my bad choice. How this is nowhere near enough for an army. I couldn't even get a word in as these older guys got red in the face. They continued to berate and insult me for not picking Sisters of Battle or Space Marines, how I was disrespecting their craft, and that I wasn't welcome to game at their table. Oh, go kick rocks. That's Baobab speaking. I had enough. I left my bag on my chair, told them I don't think this game is for me, and I left. I have since never gone back to that game store or played Warhammer. End of nightmare. Ladies, gents, and plantoids, this is the reason why Warhammer is getting a bad rep, because of these guys. I never experienced actually gatekeeping in the hobby, but I've seen way too many stories and heard too many stories of guys exactly like this. That if you don't follow the status quo, they are basically going to block you from entering the hobby and basically berate you and bully you so you don't join their hobby because it's their thing. And they pretend to be the owners of the hobby. It's infuriating. Just absolute nonsense. That's what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have my Dark Angels, my love for the Horus Heresy, great stuff. But the fact that you're not going to let other people play Xenos or any of the other non-Imperium factions is just asinine to me. Why would you want to stop people from playing Xenos? You would think these guys would want people playing Xenos so their Space Marines would have other things to fight besides other Space Marines. But I don't think that's actually what these guys wanted. I think they didn't like it that this guy wasn't in the know. He didn't know all the lore. He didn't know anything about it. And this is their hobby, and they're not going to let just any normie just step into the hobby and make it a horrible experience for them. I'd like to say Mist Running Ranger, if this ever gets around to you, please. Not all 40k players are like this. There are a bunch of amazing people in the hobby. A lot of people willing to go through every step of what you need to do to start building your army. And they are the kind of people that will be happy that you're just playing the game. This also maybe grinds my gears a lot, just because one of my first armies was actually Necrons. I am a bit of a Necron fanboy. I think their lore is actually really good. So that also, these guys need to go kick rocks. I mean, the Horus Heresy stuff is good, but the Necrons have pretty amazing lore as well. You'd also think the store manager, if he heard this, would not be happy, because this is basically driving business away from his store. And anyone that knows hobby stores, it's not easy to keep yourself in the black as a hobbyist. And these kind of guys just are driving business away. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you today. If you have any hobby nightmares or hobby horror stories, please send them in to boardbaobab@gmail.com. It's in the description below. And I hope you all have a fantastic week. Keep growing, guys. Cheers.